Welcome to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast with Nicole Merritt and Dr. Robert Zeitlin.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm feeling a little nervous, a little anxious.
Why are you feeling anxious?
Well, I did a blog post this morning that included a picture of me bearing my mom belly in a bikini.
Oh, that's a big mom challenge right there.
Yeah, you know about the mom belly, don't you?
That's hats off to you for doing that. That must have been really hard.
Yes. So basically it all stemmed. We had a play date with some good friends the other day. And I struggled with what I was going to wear. I have a few one pieces. If I ever do put on a two piece, I usually put a gigantic t-shirt over top of it. But the other day, my daughter was watching me in the mirror and asking me, like, Mommy, why do you never wear a bikini and be my twin? Like, let's wear one together. And I just realized that I can't be imparting these just negative self-confidence and body-conscious issues on my child. Do you ever struggle with dad bod issues?
Yeah, sure. I mean, definitely. It's amazing. Well, we'll get back to the anxiety thing, but it's amazing what our kids see. You've written about this, actually, what you feel and what your kids actually see. But whatever concerns I have about my body or whatever, my kids don't see, and most people don't see what I'm seeing when I look in the mirror.
Right. You made me just think of two things. Cause our kids, to me and my husband, they'll come up to us and jiggle our belly, but it's their way of showing love. They smile and they jiggle it and they give us a hug. And I'm like, oh my God, don't jiggle mommy's belly fat, please. But to them, it's just, they love every part of us, including that.
Right, exactly. It's a part of you. It's a fun part of you. It's it's totally a part of you. That's who mommy and daddy are. We have these images of who we want to be, who we're becoming. And we have these targets and the gap between that and where we are right now is what we're stressed about or unhappy about or anxious about. But they don't see that at all. They just see, they love the person that's raised them, that's been here, belly and all, the whole time.
Yeah. One of my, I just checked a little bit ago, the analytics on the post, and I'm not sure if it's the fact that I'm putting myself out there, but there was 6 users on, 10 minutes ago at the same time. So I think people are just intrigued. Mm-hmm. But one of my blogger friends commented, and I loved how she put it in perspective, that she'll go to the pool and you see all these people don't care about looking at you because they're busy making memories. Why aren't you the one making memories? Right. So I just thought the way she phrased it, I'm like, that's right. They don't care that, I've got a stretch mark. They're having fun with their kid, which is what I should be doing.
Right. We all think they're looking at us, but actually they're looking at their kids and they're caught up in the moment. And when they're not, they're looking at themselves and worried that we're looking at them too. It's the craziest thing. It's
right. For me, my anxieties don't just stem around sharing a bikini-clad photo. In general, I have anxious tendencies. Now, I wouldn't say I have, full-blown anxiety. There are people that have that. But I do have, I get these butterflies and my stomach hurts and I start to sweat a little bit. But for me, it's fleeting and passing. But I do wonder that just the comments that I make or the mannerisms or the actual things I verbalize that my children hear me, can I be passing these anxious tendencies on to my kids? What do you think?
Yeah, I think anxiety has an impact on family dynamics sometimes. I think sometimes, just like our bodies and our concerns about our bodies, we worry about our worrying and how that's affecting our kids, maybe more than it's affecting them. But the product of our anxiety, we raised our kids to be careful when you're crossing the street and watch out for strangers and stranger danger and all that stuff. But at a heightened level, we're both pretty cautious people, my wife and I. And at some point our kids kind of grew up and they took in all these messages, but they look back at us and they're like, you know, you're making us kind of scared here. Like, we're seeing the world now for what it is, as best as they can see it at their age. And they're like, it's not as scary as you kind of made it out to be. So maybe we have sort of bred a little anxiety or over cautiousness in our kids. I don't know.
Right. You know, but then, or you could be on the other extreme, you know, and not do that as much. And then these big tragedies happen in the world. And then you kind of suffocate them with all of that. So I definitely see that kind of happening in some family dynamics of people I know as well.
No, I think anxiety is easy to come by nowadays. Has been for a while, with the news, with terrorism, with different things. And, you know, the challenge just ramps up for parents. You know, how do you deal with that stuff yourself so you're not playing it out on your kids? And how do you prepare your kids to be safe in the world? You know, what's safe? Because it's really confusing. It's like a hall of mirrors right now.
Right.
Knowing what's safe and what's not. My oldest has gone and traveled abroad. My youngest is going to go travel abroad in the next couple of years, you know, going to other countries, going outside the country, places where there's risk, you know, but there's risk here too. You know, what is the risk? It's really hard to like gauge that.
Right.
And I told myself, even when our son was like traveling and flying between airports in Europe, you know, there's terrorism in this place and that place. And, you know, but I think even when something horrible happens in one part of an airport, there's like 99 other places in that airport that are totally fine, you know. Right. So it's really a roll of the dice. Everything's a roll of the dice. It just seems like anxieties are kind of boiling up a little bit because of the news cycle. Like, just there's more TV and more video to be seen. So now we get to see every tragedy everywhere all the time. Right.
Which is why I don't think like for me, for the most part, I don't get anxiety about that bigger stuff. I kind of, and maybe it's a negative, you know, thing for me to say. Maybe people will think it's bad, but I don't really watch the news. I don't keep it on. I mean, when my children are home, Peppa Pig is on and Disney Junior's on, and I get the alerts on my phone, but most of the time, you know, kind of swiping them away. Like, I don't, unless it's, you know, urgent, I don't want to be bombarded with the negativity. It's going to put me in a bad place, and I'm with my kids right now, and I need to be in a good place. But on the day-to-day, like, I make anxiety out of nothing. Like, you know, you and I have talked before how me, like, being late, you know, to miss the bell. Like, I didn't have one day my daughter's first grade year that I missed the bell. But had I would have, like, beaten myself up about that. Like, why do we have anxiety about all these tiny things? You know, it's like, that's where I worry that, like, you know, I don't want my children thinking that they can't be late one day, or that they forgot their backpack and now it's the end of the world. And I've seen that. Like, you know, we forgot violin on violin day. The rule is mommy can't bring it. The rule is you were supposed to be responsible to bring it. But it's not the end of the world. But I treat my issues like they are. So how could I not rub that off on them? So I'm not sure how to combat that. I'm working on it.
You're working on it. Okay. I mean, I think it's really hard. I think it's really hard to have one standard for ourselves and another standard for our kids, even if you're able to hold that, even if you're like able to give your kids breaks that you're not able to give yourself. At some point, they're still having to work around you and make sure that mommy's okay. And, you know, is mommy having a bad day because she was late for the bell? And it's like, why do we put our kids through that? Why do we put ourselves through that? And how hard is it to change that? You know, you said little things tend to trigger anxiety in you. Like, how do we change that? That's a big question. If someone wants to, like, really parent from the inside out, and you don't want your kids affected by this stuff. So I realize I have to do something about myself. Like, what are some things that you've tried to, like, notch down the sort of trigger anxiety?
Right. I mean, for me, I like to read about it, you know, books about it, or read people's articles with their suggestions. But I would say, honestly, what helps me the most, and I don't go out there seeking it, nor do people know that they're doing it for me, but just being in the general public, and like you and I talked about this recently, like seeing another mom handling something, being late. Like the day I told you that I saw a mom drive up late, like I was leaving pick up and she was just pulling in, but she was still smiling. Like getting doses of perspective just from watching people in my vicinity or having a conversation with a stranger or, a barista at the coffee shop, like picking it up from conversations with you and me. I think just getting a perspective from somebody else's mind and how they think can really just be like, oh yeah, like I don't have to look at it like this. There are other ways to view this.
Right. And just looking up and getting some perspective. I think the hard part is when you're not looking up, when you're like so grinding that you drive off and you never even notice that mom or that she's smiling.
Right. When you just said not looking up, you made me think we were, our last trip to Disney World for my daughter's birthday, we were on one of the rides, like where you go on a boat. And we looked up and saw something that we had never noticed. And we've been on this ride so many times, but we never saw that part because none of us ever looked up. And I literally have like an article in my thing just sitting there. All it has is the title and it's, we need to look up more. Like,
I'm laughing because it's a story that I half wrote myself. And I actually wrote to some family members about a family event where I was, finally getting over the sort of looking down and the grinding about something and looked up and realized what was in front of me. It's amazing. Right. Maybe we should co-write that.
Yes, but and then, okay, so you just said don't look down. So if I'm in my bikini, I don't have to look down at my fluff, right? Mm-hmm. Just look up and look at the people that are around you. Look at the memories being made. Listen to the conversations that are being had. Take in the smiles and the laughter. That's so key. I'm going to remember that tomorrow at the barbecue.
It's hard. I mean, I think many of us spend our lives looking up and sort of tripping over things, right? And just like head in the sky. And there's people that are just sort of not grounded at all, right? They're just floating along, right? Blissfully unaware sometimes. Or the people who are constantly worrying about every little pebble they're going to trip over or their fluff or whatever. And it's like, how do we strike a balance? How do you look up, take that mental picture, like you said before, like that mental picture of your child smiling, like that's making the memories is what your eyes should be doing, right? Right.
And I don't want to look up. I don't want to look down. I want to moonwalk some of it. I want to skip some of it, but I think you will have phases of life, maybe phases in your day, maybe minute by minute, hour by hour, where you will do some of that. You'll jump over that, and then you'll skip over that, and you might dance for a little bit, and then you might stop, but to just kind of welcome all those different perspectives that'll come your way during, a single day.
And to be there, not to beat the mindfulness drum, but to be there for all of that. Like,
right.
I got on stage and did something harder than I've ever done a month ago, got up and did a TED talk. And it's like, how can I manage all the things that I needed to do, all the anxiety about it, all the goals I had in my mind, and actually step on that stage and take in the moment. Like I just had a parent and a child here in my office the other day, and this kid is jumping ahead. Like they're not satisfied with where they are in life, right? They want to do this, they want to do that. Can't wait to, they could snap their fingers and be 21 and be perfect. And she's like, yeah, but you've missed being 8, you've missed this. Like, I wish I was 8 again, and the kid, like any of us look at that other mom who's having a good time and you're like, I wish I was that. And she looks at you and she wishes she was you. And it's like, why is it so hard to be right here doing what we're doing, being who we are right now?
Right. No, I get that. And I think that there's, I don't want to say balance, but happy medium. Like I told you how I started my blog. So now my daughter very much enjoys doing her, little blog. We set her up on a free site that me and my husband can look at. And sometimes when I do my work, she does it. So sometimes I think they see us, like at least for me, I'm more coming into my own and finding a really just nice, happy spot where I'm content. Now that I'm doing something that I really, really enjoy and being a parent. So I think that she can see that and she's like, oh, I want to, feel like how mommy's feeling, so sometimes there is that happy medium. It's good for them to see you and want to emulate maybe a stage that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
but reminding them to stay their age, and enjoy all the pleasures that their age brings. Maybe even share with them stories. But when I was 8, I loved doing this, and be in that with them as well.
Yeah, I don't want to keep saying inside out, but it's all inside out. If they see mommy and daddy enjoying their life for what it is and having a moment and being present, then that's the example actually that you're giving. Just like on the other hand, the anxiety, the kids are looking up and saying, oh, maybe I should be worried about stuff more. Maybe I should be laughing about stuff. Maybe I should be silly more. Like these examples that we're giving, we're not going to be, 7-year-olds silly because we're not 7 anymore, but they know that. They know who we are, and giving them that example of being present and being silly and enjoying the moment, like that's a huge gift. It's a gift.
Yeah, recently, one of my fellow bloggers had I think it was a blog post go viral about you have 18 summers and this is one of your 18. And then there was a meme made about that, which I loved. I love the perspective. Like this is one of your 18, and then you're like, wait, my daughter's already 7. That means I only have, I only have X amount left, and my daughter's 2, and I only have this amount. And then I loved it, and I shared it. And then I came across another one that was that meme with an X over it. It was causing somebody anxiety to think about it like that. Like, wow. I only have 18. I've got to maximize the 18. And so I've shared both on my Facebook page, and the comments are rolling in of people on both sides that it created great perspective for them, or it caused them tons of anxiety. For me, I love both, and I don't think it's a contradiction. I think the happy place is smack in the middle of that. What do you think about the whole 18 summers?
It's so funny because when you start talking about anxiety, I'm like, yeah, I didn't have much anxiety. But you know what? That idea that things were grinding down as my kids got older, like I only have a couple more summers with them left, or they're going to leave home soon, or they're growing up. Like that growing up part really bothered me and really did get me thinking, oh, I only have so much time left. Like I started freaking myself out, and then like had to chill out and relax about that. But that whole sort of reaching the end point was really hard for me. Not the end, but the transition to them going to college and them going away and being on their own and me not seeing them as much, or, not being in the house. Like that stuff really bothered me, and it did get under my skin a lot.
Are you able to give a little perspective to us parents of younger children? Like after 18, do they not come back? Do you still have more summers with them? Yes,
you do. I mean, that's the really cool part, especially if you do the work that you're doing right now. I was surprised. I figured at 18, see ya, they'll send me letters like that. That's it. But they wanted to come back. They wanted to hang out. They wanted to spend time. It felt like a gift because I wasn't counting on it. But also, yeah, it's not a sort of, it's not a world where you take a ship to another country nowadays and you send letters. The world's gotten smaller and flatter and more connected. And so I feel like I'm much more a part of my grown kids' lives than I expected to be. And they're more active and more interested sort of being along for the ride than I thought they would be. Somehow we're still interesting. I think it's part of doing the work that we just talked about, my working to learn new things and be present and try new things and just be out there, not just some guy sort of drudging to a job, but drudging home. And what'd you do today? We talk over dinner, and like, well, I had meetings, it's like, wah, wah. But same for my wife, just doing interesting things, trying to figure out Instagram, figure out marketing, all this stuff. And it just keeps us alive. And we're all sort of adults going through similar learning phases, changes.
Yeah. And had you let your anxiety hold you back, or even if you were to let it hold you back now, you wouldn't be able to reach that, just kind of, I don't know, get that connection, with your kids that you're now able to have. Yeah. I mean, I just think that we need to figure out a way to not let our anxieties, fears, big, small, to some being nervous that I'm going to be late for school is a really silly anxiety, but it's a genuine, like, it causes me issues. But to let go of some of that as best we can and find the ways to do that, for some people that have severe anxiety, medication or therapy may be needed. Mm-hmm. For people like me, where it's more fleeting and I can handle it, just conversations with friends, having your tribe, self-care. It's also important if we want to, you want to be authentic for your kids, so that they know that mommy, it's obvious that I have anxiety, but we also talk about it and talk through it. And I think that that's just of uber importance for our kids.
Yeah. Talking about it, talking through it is the best starting place. And like you said, whether it's severe and you need to talk to a professional, or it's everyday anxiety, you need friends, add more voices to the voices in your head, get more perspectives and talk to more people. I think it's great. And again, I applaud you for putting out your blog post with your picture today. I don't know if I want to wish you get a lot of hits or if people don't see it. I'm not sure what you want, but either way, putting it out there is a huge step, and congratulations for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This was fun talking. We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss an episode.